Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and in this video I am going to show you how to counter the most frustrating creature in all of Ark, and that is the Stegosaurus. So I have one that's really overpowered here. Obviously this is just to show how much damage we can do it and things like that, but basically, if you didn't know it already, once you are on a Stego, you are immune to a huge portion of ways that people do damage, because you can't be damaged, well, I'm going to say can't be damaged by most creatures just off the back of it. You can't get picked by like a smaller sized creature. So it makes it very difficult to actually do anything to a Stego and a Stego rider. So how do you counter? I'm going to show you 15 different ways in this video on how to counter it and what you can do. Now I'm going to have everything from weapons you can carry in your inventory, creatures, and then some little cheeky strategies that I can show you real quick. So let's go ahead and get started with everything in our inventory. So I have a total of 6 different things. Now, there are other ways, but these are the 6 best ways that you can counter Stegos. Now, in order to counter the Stegos, what you're going to do is focus on killing the rider, because the rider is the weakest part of a Stego. It sits on top. Obviously, you can't pick it, but splash damage does apply. So you can actually throw some tech grenades at it, and as long as you aim towards where the rider is going to be near that saddle, that grenade is going to damage the Stego, but it's going to deal the increased damage to the player. Because of the fact that the player is probably wearing armor, you'll probably have to throw a few tech grenades, but tech grenades shred it really quickly. Now, let's say you're playing on a server that has tech gravity grenades. Gravity grenades are actually incredibly powerful because it's going to pull in that creature and then send it into wherever you want it to go. So you can actually move it around. It doesn't do as much damage, but it will send the creature where you want it to go. Now, you can also launch these if you get good enough at throwing them in the air, and it'll pull them from quite a distance, but you've got to kind of like accurately throw it. So let's see if I can get it like a little behind there. There we go. That should be close enough. And nope, I wasn't close enough. But you can kind of use these in order to kind of control where it goes. Now, again, not every server is going to have these enabled, but if you do, there you go. So those are the 2 tech grenades. Now, the next thing, and this is the easiest and cheapest method usually for people, is going to be rockets, because players will take splash damage off the back of a Stego. As long as you aim for the player, which is usually right about there, you will do splash damage. Now, obviously, you saw the direct hit doing 126. That'll be about the same that you're going to get off of a player off the top of the back of it. As long as you're hitting near where the player is, that splash damage is going to pass through and damage the player. So it's a really great strategy. Now, let's say you don't want to use those. Flamethrowers will also work. Now, the one thing that kind of sucks about a flamethrower is you have to be in a specific spot to actually damage the player, because otherwise you're just going to hit the Stego. You have to be directly in front of the Stego, and when you are in front of the Stego, you will have to aim towards where the player is. So you'll basically have to get up and close like that, and then back up, and then get up and close, fire your flame, and then back up. That is how you will hit the actual player off the back using a flamethrower. Now, it's an effective way, but it can be very dangerous because the Stego will pick you with its swing attack, and then you're kind of just stuck in a game of I'm going to die eventually because you're not going to be able to deal any damage. But using a flamethrower will allow you to destroy the Stego, or I guess the Stego rider, so definitely focus on that. Now, if you've got all of those and it's not working super well for you, another really great strategy, especially if you're in a small space, is going to be using narcotic grenades. Now, what you do is you just throw it right at the feet of the actual Stego, and it'll create that narcotic grenade effect. Now, most people don't carry gas masks on them when they're raiding, or typically raid in tech, and the gas is going to go off and knock out the player. Now, it is a very effective strategy because the player gets knocked out. You just walk over, you pick them up, and then you throw them in a cage, or you kill them. Either way, it works just fine. And then you can just throw a ton of these because narcotic grenades are incredibly cheap, and they really don't cost you much at all. So you can just toss, I don't know, 10, 15 narcotic grenades and just in all different directions, so the player has to walk through it no matter what. And even if they have a gas mask, they're going to have to waste the durability of that gas mask to get out. So narcotic grenades can be incredibly strong for a thing that you can put in your inventory to counter the actual Stego. Now, the last thing, and not my favorite, but does it work technically? Yes. The tech grenade splash. Now, a tech shot does a little bit of damage. Now, obviously, you can see that most areas the rider is going to be immune to splash damage. However, if you hit him from the front side, specifically up where I'm looking right now, and you aim for between that front left and the front right spine, you can actually do splash damage to the rider and do enough splash damage where you'll probably kill him in 1 or 2 blasts. Now, you won't be able to hit them directly, but that splash damage is what we're looking for. So you will be able to back them up. Now, the negative thing is they could easily just as much hop off and hit you with a tech rifle of their own, because they can pull out tech rifles. But these are all 6 different great ways to actually counter the Stego while you are kind of in the situation that I'm in. Now, let's move on to the next things, right? Let's go to the easy basic things. So first off, Stegos are incredibly strong against turrets. However, if you take your turrets and place them on only survivors, a tech turret will smoke a Stego, because in order to block damage, will have to back into it. So they can't actually just walk or run at your turrets. It'll actually do damage to the rider if you have tech turrets, and the rider will get smoked by players only. Now, you don't want them all on players only, but quite a few is always a good idea. Same thing with heavies. They will shoot a rider off the front of it, but not off the back or sides. So putting your turrets on survivors only is a great way to counter against Stegos, because if you just have them on players and tames, the turret will aim for midsection on the Stego, and if they are on players only, they will aim towards where the player is, therefore causing splash damage. Or if it's a heavy turret and has a line of sight on them, they will actually just straight up hit the rider. Now, if you were talking about structures, another really, if you're online, you're not always going to be online, obviously, is to use a mounted rocket turret. Now, that is because you can aim with these and shoot much faster than you can with literally anything else in the entire game. So you can just launch a crap ton of rockets at somebody, and they will splash damage the rider, inevitably killing them insanely quickly, because you can shoot about 3 or 4 rockets per second. Now, it will cost you durability on your rocket turret, but it'll do a significant chunk of damage to the actual rider. Now, I have to mention that you can also use the new cars, but they are a little bit glitchy on whether they actually work or not. So keep that in mind. But if you are using the new vehicles in the game, there are rockets, there are, like, I don't know if you call them quick shots or whatever you want to call them, but the new vehicles can also damage the Stegos pretty well. But again, they can be a little inconsistent and they kind of just fall into the mesh sometimes. So it's a little bit more dangerous. That's why I didn't include them in this list. Now we've gotten past all the structures and all the things you can do. These are all creatures that will help you destroy Stegos. Now, we're going to go with the basics, right? Obviously, you can use a poison wyvern. If you are online, you just fire your poison ball. It'll slowly damage the rider. And because you can fire so many poison breaths, you can actually kill a rider off of a Stego almost immediately. All you got to do is just aim high, and then it's just going to destroy it. Now, the one thing you want to be aware of is if they are wearing tech, they will technically have a few shots that they survive, but the durability of that tech is going to drop insanely fast. And a poison wyvern is a great way to actually smoke somebody off of the back of the Stego, because again, we're focusing on the rider, not the Stego. The Stego is strong, rider is weak. So poison wyvern is a great way to do it. Now, doing the exact same thing, if you are not on a map like Aberration, or if you just want something that's a little bit better than a poison wyvern, using a Basilisk is insanely strong. Basilisks have crazy base health and crazy base damage. They also can shoot a lot farther than a poison wyvern with their gas attack, and it does quite a bit more damage. So you can use this and just absolutely shred somebody off the back. And because of their ability to do things like bury, you can get some really strong, how do I say this without sounding too bad? You can get some really strong moves because you can bury your Basilisk and go underground by holding spacebar, and then you'll kind of do this, and then if you're, let's say they've got turrets or something nearby, you can just pop up and blast them with a few just quick little shots, and then go right back in the ground, and then go just leave. So because the Basilisk is so mobile, it is a great thing that you can use in order to counter the Stego. It's probably one of the most common things to counter with. And leaving it on turret mode as well, both the poison wyvern and the Basilisk, as long as you go into its behavior, go to enable special attacks, enable turret mode, turn them on aggressive, ignore whistles, and then range on high, and you have yourself an almost unkillable destroy bot of people that are on, like they're trying to rush your base. Basilisks are really strong for base defense, whether you're on or offline, because they're high health. I would recommend just putting all of their stats into health, because if you can't kill them, their damage over time is going to kill whatever you need to worry about. Now, next up on our list is the Calicotherium, another creature that does a stupid amount of damage and doesn't get much credit. The Calicotherium's damage, actually, when you leave it on turret mode and throws a rock, you actually can damage with splash damage the rider themselves. Now, they will throw poop, so you can let them throw the poops in the attack mode, and that'll give them the ability, as long as they have the food and everything they need, they will throw rocks and use that in order to actually go after Stego. So it's another strong way to actually counter anyone in online and offline, because they also have that enable turret mode, and then basically just put them on aggressive, and they will also counter anyone coming at your base with a Stego. Now, if you are online, a Therizinosaurus is another great way to do it. Now, the reason is not the primary, not the secondary, but if you use the nose peck attack, which is the C or tertiary attack, it damages the rider and the Stego. Now, it does less damage overall, but because it does damage to both, you can absolutely shred someone off the Stego really, really quickly. Now, if you have a high melee, you can pretty much kill a Stego anyways, but you want to just disable the rider by getting them off of the Stego. So using that peck attack will actually damage the Stego just straight up. So there's another one. Now, the easy way, if you are able to do this and it is outside and not in a cave, is to just pick the actual Stego using a wyvern or a quetzal or anything like a carcanos that can just pick them up and remove them from your turrets. Or you bring them inside, leave them in the claw, or just pick them and move them somewhere you want them to be, therefore killing a rider and letting you take care of the Stego however you see fit. Drop them out in the middle of the ocean, that's all up to you. Now, if you want nothing to do with any of that, you can always use the Stegosaurus kind of bleed technique. If you use a Thylacoleo, you can continue to stack 5% damage drain on top of any Stego. So the higher the health, the more damage it's going to do. So every time you bite, it puts 5 seconds, which is 1% of its health per second. So you can actually kill a Stego really rapidly just by left clicking. It'll give you the ability to just shred this thing. Now, obviously, the negative is if they use their tail attack, there's not much you can do about it. They're just going to shred you and you're in trouble. But because you're doing percentage-based health, all you have to do there is be there for when technically it's 100 seconds, plus whatever bite damage you have. So like you can kill it in about a minute, no matter how much health the Stego has. So using this, if you're not really able to get the player off, a Thylacoleo is a great way, or just whistle them aggressive on it, and that's a huge effective way to do it as well. Now, last on our list of things that you can use is the Mech. Now, the Mech slash attack will not be able to actually damage the actual Stego, but what you do want to be aware of is the secondary attack, especially if you have the actual ability that I have right here with the Mech. You can use your blast attack, and that blast attack will quite literally just absolutely shred the rider. Or using the splash damage, if you do not have the skin, you can go ahead and take the skin off, and because it does splash damage with the actual tech rifle or tech gun that you have on the back, you can shred a player off the top of the back of this. So using a Mech is a great way. It does a ton of damage to the creature, and it does a ton of splash damage to the rider. Because they can't catch you because of the speed of the Mech, you can just maybe 5 seconds of this and kill whatever rider's on the top of it. So those are all kind of just great ways to take care of it. Now, Stegos are incredibly frustrating, but all of these methods can be used in any combination that you see fit in order to either shred the actual health of the Stego or to actually just kill the rider off, which is a more easy strategy to use, in my opinion. Now, if you're looking for something that just does knockback, use Diplos or Brontos, and they'll just knock the Stego back, rendering them basically useless in any fight. So if you have high enough Giganotosauruses or Karchas and Gigas will eventually kill them, but because they have so much health, it's not really worth your time. So anyways, this is all just a quick update on how to best defend against Stegos, and hopefully this video helps you out. All right, other than that, teach. Wow.